Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Today's video is the only Facebook ads video you will ever need, 2025 edition, right? Honestly, this Google Doc, I just made it just now and I just wanted to create it and just give it to you. Okay, now a few things I want to be perfectly clear here is that a lot of videos I notice are from agencies. I'm not an agency. I run ads for my own brands. Simple as that, right? I just like to give out knowledge, and that's why my videos are not that, edited, whatever. I just believe that just in teaching the advanced knowledge, and that's how it works, right? When it comes to Facebook ads, the one thing I've been doing it for years is there are things that change, but fundamentally a lot of things don't, right? And what I find with a lot of channels is they're very focused on agencies. Agencies look at every little scrap piece of data because they want to squeeze it out, because a lot of agencies run on a base retainer plus percentage of ad spend. So that's how they make more money. So if they're like on a 5K retainer and then it's 10% of ad spend and you spend 100 grand, well, there you go. They're getting another 10 grand. So it's actually 15 grand. So they're highly incentivized, right, to go to the utmost ridiculous levels, right? But I can tell you, in agency world, it's very cutthroat, right? There's a reason that agencies are always looking for 1 million leads. So don't be fooled by that, right? There's just most of the crap. We just want to sort of get to most of this, right? Remember in Facebook ads, like you can see that there's like all these tools. I don't look at most of them. Don't look at most of them for different things, right? But you will literally just use Ads Manager, Audiences. I don't even really use the Business Support Home. I don't use the ads reporting much. Again, that's more for like agencies and stuff. You can just use the Ads Manager. You use billing and payments like once in a blue moon if you want to change your card or PayPal or whatever. I don't use automated rules. I used to do that, but it's really not needed. You got ad account settings, but as I said, you'll go into your business settings, right? You spend 95% of your time in the Ads Manager, 5% of your time sort of doing a bit of technical integration, checking analytics. Like I just saw a video where, looking at the attribution to make sure that everything is within its sort of 10% variable. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But I don't really care about that, right? One thing that I want to make sort of very clear about is that you should always factor in that inherently every platform doesn't have perfect conversion tracking. You usually if you use properly Google Analytics, you can usually derive the best analytics from there is what you really want to look at, okay? Remember, your goal with marketing ads is really, it's just to drive traffic to your website, and your website should be optimized. Your back end should be optimized to convert those people. If you have a good product, a good website, and a good back end, really, you don't need to worry about this. Like, everyone's so focused on this 2x ROAS, but that's absolutely arbitrary and irrelevant, right? So, like as I said, the rest is mostly automated, right? Once you have most of this set up, it is automated on the back end. So, and with the way that tools are, like for instance, I know a number of you, most people, like myself, running Shopify, you can literally there's the Facebook ad sales channel. You'll find it. You can go to the App Store and find it there, or add it as a sales channel. I think they made it even easier. Integrate your page, your Instagram, your and it'll help you make your catalog, will help you make your pixel, your conversion API. Make sure you always set it to highest, because why would you not? Because you want the most tracking. I don't know why it does that. When you go through it, you'll see 3 options. I can't remember the other, but it's like, yes, I want more conversion tracking. Anyway, but the point of what I'm sort of making here is that you want to do that. Like if I go into my business settings now, right? Now, if you're running like, again, an agency, you might, you'll be working with clients. So you'll probably use business asset groups. If you're running this as your own brand, you really won't. I mean, you can if you've got a big team, but most of the time it's like a team of 3-4 people. Just assign individual assets. It's up to you, right? But you got your business asset groups. You got partners. Again, partners is, let's say, again, if you're running an agency and you want to add. You want to ask a partner to assign their assets, or you want to give it to an agency, right? But so that's where, like, if an agency, like, because as I said, I used to run one, that's sort of how you would do it. So you get the official stuff. It gives the client the control, but also then you can get the access. But most of the time you'll have this in terms of people. System users is just sort of automated users. You got your pages, your ad accounts. So you can see ad accounts, and you can see the test one here. I integrate as I've always said, a backup business manager as well in case something goes wrong. Business asset groups, apps is if you have like various apps. So like, again, I integrate that just as a backup. Your Instagram accounts. So you got, various Instagram accounts, all very straightforward. You just follow the prompts. You got your WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp is becoming more and more popular. I definitely recommend doing that as a side note. And then you got catalogs. It used to be called that, but they've renamed Dataset and Pixels. Custom conversions, I used to use that, but you really don't. Custom conversions is if you're really wanting to get super granular in terms of maybe your purchase for a specific product. So you know how when you choose purchase, as a conversion type, I'll show you in a moment, you can actually make it a purchase that is on a single product. So let's say you've got 10 products, but 90% of your sales come from one product. You can make a purchase just around that. So it's meant to be better, but I honestly, be honest with you, don't see that. You got your business creative folders, so you can make creative folders and assign permissions and stuff. But again, you won't need that. Shared audiences, you won't really need that. Offline events is if you're like, not running an e-commerce business, but most of you are. So honestly, you won't need that. The main other thing you need to really focus on is your security center. Make sure that because this is a test one, I haven't done it, of course, as well. But go through your security center and make sure that, everyone should have 2FA. You might not be eligible for verification, but you can add your domain security and ad account security. Okay, I would always do that, and a backup admin. It could even be your mum, it could be your partner. I don't know, someone you trust that you can access in a worst case environment. Right? Set that up. You'll 99% likely never need to touch it, but in the off event you might need to. It's just important to have it there. Okay. So one of the things as well I see is like these third-party tools. There's like Triple Whale, there's WeTrack. I've used them, and I'll be honest, they're a rip-off in my eyes, an absolute rip-off. Agencies and that, again, incentivize use it. That's why most of it, but you don't need to. I see so many people that uninstall these to try and get the perfect conversion tracking. You don't, right? You really, really, really don't. And my reasoning for that is because I don't just use Facebook ads. I use Google ads. I use Bing ads or Microsoft ads. I use email marketing. I optimize my website. I optimize my funnel. I do SEO. I do influencer marketing. I do affiliate marketing, right? I do all of that. And so for me, Facebook and that, honestly, a lot of it is a bit of cold and that, but otherwise I do a lot of remarketing because I want to get my traffic. Like it's actually, hey there, sorry about that. Someone I actually know, one of my best mates actually, funnily enough, just walked past and had a quick chat with him. So I've lost sort of where I was, but basically continuing on, sort of getting off my rant here, basically, let's go into these points, right? Number one, don't overcomplicate Facebook ads, right? Let's just be honest here. Some ads work, some don't, and some products do, some don't, right? If you're a dropshipper, you'll know all about this, that it really is just the product, and then you make it creative. And because it's so easy to make creatives now, using various AI, honestly, if it doesn't work, it's just the product, right? Or it's the fact that it's already very saturated, which does happen, and you can keep trying things, but I honestly more focus on the fact that every successful business really comes from the fact that someone's dedicated a lot of time, and knowledge and built something really, really genuinely tangible that solves some problem, helps people in their lives. And again, problems don't have to be a need and want item. Like it could be this amazing t-shirt that could signify something very important to them that solves a problem. It could be something passionate about, right? So my point is, when it comes to that, you mainly need to know about a few things. Now, I don't know the right terminology. I don't spend forever on this. I use the word cold marketing, which is new traffic, new potential customers. Remarketing is to potential people who know about your brand, who haven't purchased from you, or existing customers. It's really all you need to know is cold and remarketing. And cold is just very basic. It's just people that don't know about you. Remarketing is people that know about you, haven't bought from you, people who have shown deeper interest, maybe like added to cart, but not purchased from you, going to checkout, not purchased from you, purchase, and you can make an entire funnel around this, right? That's where you use audiences, and you can then, but you need a lot of traffic, right? To initiate checkout, you would need to have a lot of traffic, because what happens is most people will watch your ad, they won't click, There'll be a segment of people that will. They'll go to your product page. They won't go further. In each step, there'll be a segment of people that goes further down. So as you scale, you do segment your audiences and you make different remarketing audiences, right? And you can then remake different remarketing audiences. Let's say like add to cart minus purchase last 30 days. And you might give them a 10% discount to come and buy. Whereas maybe someone at initiate checkout, you might do it 15% because they've gone that next step and they just need that bit of extra push. And you might go initiate checkout, pardon me, minus purchase, right? So, you can really segment these a lot more, and minus add to cart, right? So you might want only people that have initiated checkout so that they see that. So people that add to cart don't see it either, because otherwise add to cart could see the 10 and 15%. And that's where you use what's called inclusions and exclusions. Really simple stuff, right? You make your audiences, and then all you do in the ads manager is use inclusions and exclusions. And then from there, all you do is you run different ads for a different customer, right? And as you get further down the funnel, you give more incentive, more value for them to come back, right? If it's, let's say, like a purchase, what I actually run is, hey, thank you for buying. Here's 20% off your next order. Here's a heap of testimonials for our business. And you might actually let that keep running, because purchase customers are your highest value customers, right? Whereas view content, you'll want a lower frequency. And one of the things that I didn't add here that's important is to look at frequency, right? And we'll get into that as well. But I wanted to sort of touch on that. As I said, I'm just going to be honest here. I see so many advanced strategies. I used to run a digital marketing agency. I don't have time anymore, so I don't. I don't work that way. I mainly use Advantage Plus campaigns with ad sets inside of it, with interest doing well, literally. And I use the suggestion is next, and I'll keep rolling with that. Okay. When I was running a digital marketing agency, I used to go that level of granularity. Unless you have a really good brand client, it's not worth it a lot of the time, honestly. Keep it simple, right? And so a lot of these advanced strategies you'll find you'll probably never use, okay, honestly. If you're a very established digital marketing agency or an established brand, quite doing big numbers, we're talking probably at least like $500,000 a month or something, maybe. But otherwise, for the majority of us, it's not worth it. For creatives, I just use Creatify.ai. There's so many out there. I don't know, if I'm honest, which is the best. I'm not going to spend forever on it. They're all fundamentally similar. They all have ones where you can get AI avatars and you can use product samples and upload that. Fundamentally, very much the same. They're all using various AI models on the back end. So, each to their own. But I just use that. I'm not an affiliate with them. That's just one I found out about whatever. I'll just use that one. Whenever you got like 50 tools that all do the same thing, in my eyes, don't spend forever like testing all of them, because at the end of the day, AI UGC, what people buy into AI UGC is the person like speak as if they know about the product. And that speak would be as if when you make the script, you know about the product. So it really comes down to your research, right? So, because I could use the best AI avatar in the world, but if I put copy that's not going to resonate with anyone, the AI avatar is not going to work, right? So it embeds in research. So it's really important that you know that. When you find a little creative, make small changes. So for me, I will literally use the same script, the same product, and the first thing I try is I just try different avatars. I've been actually quite surprised at times when, I wanted this to be whatever, but the color of someone's skin has actually made a difference, because at some point you don't know. And I didn't know. And so that's where you know how there's like 50 female avatars, 50 male ones. Just try those different ones. And I've been amazed, right, by the results. So run DPA ads. God, I have to put this. People just don't care about it. DPA ads, dynamic product ads, are basically your catalog ads. You run them as Advantage catalog ads. I have other videos on that where I've shown results. It is just dynamic remarketing, especially for brands with a number of SKUs, at least probably 10 SKUs. So you can have one product, and if you have 10 variants on Shopify, those are technically SKUs, would be seen as in the catalog. And that it's just instant money. People like to look and browse. And so that's why catalog ads work really, really well. And because they're dynamic, they show the specific SKUs that someone's looked at on your website. It's very 100% personalized. Okay. So very important that you do run that. I have videos and I'll do a quick run through on this. Make sure your catalog is integrated and bam, use Shopify Facebook sales channel. It does the rest. Honestly, I don't even need to speak about it that much. But to add to it in the ads manager, make sure your pixel is integrated with your ad account, your catalog connected, and your Facebook page. I think, because I haven't done it in a while with the Shopify sales channel, it helps do that for you. But if not, I'll show you quickly how to do that again. And as I said, make sure you enable 2FA, super important for both your personal account and your ads manager, just as extra layer. Verify your business manager, I've already said that. Make sure you at least have 2 payment methods as a backup, and make sure that you have a card and something like PayPal, but not the same card linked in PayPal, because if the card gets compromised, PayPal might not be able to make the transaction. So try and use a different card. I use AirWallets and I use a virtual card. I use multiple virtual cards. That way I can really lock it down. That's just my preference. Back to the ads, you run sales, Advantage Plus with different audiences to begin with. 3 ad sets, at least at $30 a day, in theory $10 each per ad set, 3 different creatives. The creatives are the same. You're testing the audiences. Generally, I do 25 to 54, but again, you'll know your audience, right? 25, 54. The copy isn't what sells it though, okay? The copy script that you put in the AI avatar or for UGC help obviously is an important element there, but the copy in your creative, your description, that doesn't make the biggest difference. It's the creative, right? When you think about everything that you consume online nowadays, do you look at the copy first or do you look at the video first? I think everyone I would speak to would be like the video, right? So you focus on the video and the script, right? That's where you focus. For remarketing, you mainly use view content. VC is what I put it as. Days minus purchase, and you can go super granular, right? You can do view content minus 30 days add to cart or 14 days, right? So you make 2 separate audiences, include VC, view content 14, exclude, let's say, add to cart 14. So you're only targeting those people. So you might be like, hey, we see that you checked out our product that is super popular. They're getting all these reviews. Just wanted to quickly remind you to come back and buy, right? What you're doing there is you're not giving them a discount. You're just reminding them to come back and buy, because it's when you sort of do add to cart, initiate checkout, that you start giving discounts, right? You want to reduce the amount of discounts you give. It hurts your brand long term. Trust me, less discounts you give, the better you are long term. I know that with dropshipping, they spam discounts, but that's another reason why you'll see their trajectory is always like this. It's like a triangle. It'll go up and then it'll go down. Once it starts going down, it's dead. That business is dead and they move on to the next. Whereas with a brand, it'll go like this, right? In theory, it'll go up, but it'll, peak and trough, right? But it won't just die. So the main other thing you need to know is that custom audience and lookalikes, you do that all in the audiences, really, really easy. And with your custom columns, pardon me, that you want, as I said, my focus is always cost per purchase is greater than ROAS, so I always look at cost per purchase, click-through rate, unique click-through rate, and add to cart. You can look at initiate checkout, but I don't really look at it that much. Initiate checkout actually doesn't fire perfectly. You'll find a lot in the background. I don't know. I've never really found initiate checkout to be a great audience. It's good to make a custom audience and a lookalike from, but not for remarketing. They're different. So, and make a good naming convention. Mine are terrible. Always have been. Make a naming convention. All right, so let's go into this, and I'm going to firstly show the ads manager. Actually, no, I'll show audiences. Okay, so let's go audiences, and I'll open up the ads manager. Actually, I'll open up settings, right? So let's say you got your ad account, right? For all ad accounts, you can assign assets. So you'll find this is pretty much the appropriate thing. You can assign people. So if you have 4 ad accounts and you want your staff to only have access to 1, you choose that one. You assign a partner if you're running an agency, and you got connected assets, right? So you've got other business assets. So at times, this can be a little bit buggy. Sometimes you have to go into the asset and assign it from there. So let's say you got your catalog. Associate sources would be, for instance, when you're associating your pixel so it can get the data. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And again, partners and people. You can sort of see it's fundamentally much the same. So you just sort of go through this, but the main one will be your pages. And you got connected assets. Yeah. So, if you get things like that, as I said, see how you can make a business asset group. But you can do all of this if you go usually under the ad account. This is where it's a little bit different at times. See, I've assigned myself and Arthur, and I can see assets, and for some reason it's wanting me to make a business asset group. So if I wanted to make a business asset group, I'll just do this. See how it's like, I'm just going to go separate brands, test. One moment. All right. Verified that. That was annoying. That's one of the things you'll find with Facebook. I mean, it's good, but it's annoying. So again, you can assign people, partners, and assets, right? So you can assign assets, and this is where I've just had this update where Facebook's like, okay, you want to assign this. So if you've got multiple brands, you just assign the brand assets. Follow that, assign it. Very straightforward, right? So that's pretty much that. You got your commerce manager. You can see errors through the articles because this is obviously all test data. You've got your data sources. You'll see here your data sources being Shopify, for example. You got your sets. You can make different sets. You can also do this within the ad set itself. So let's say you want to make your custom assets here that show up within when you're making the ad sets. You can do that either way, right? Whichever takes your preference. This is just a more detailed, specific section for it. So in theory, you would do it here, right? And then you got your individual items or SKUs where you can then have a look at that. I don't know why that's not loading. There we go. So where you can see all the details, and this is all pulled from Shopify. If you open up any of these, you'll see that all the details are, click it and you can see Shopify, all of that crap. So if we have a look under settings, you can change just a number of these. Again, don't need to worry too much about that if I'm to be honest with you. And then we got audiences, right? So with your audiences, so you can see here you've got, I've never really used save audiences, I'll be honest. So you custom audience, lookalike. So in order to make a lookalike, you need to have a custom audience. In order for a custom audience to work, you have to have data, right? And you'll see most of these are pending because they're not working. But if you do have data and you've made it right, they'll be ready and you can then make a lookalike. They shouldn't have pending, okay? Because clearly I don't have data here. I'm just using it as that. That's why it's like that. But you'll have data. You'll see it's ready. It's green. And it should, just logically look correct. You can delete them. You can share them. Very rarely would you ever share them. You can create a lookalike and you can view the pixel. You can show audience overlap. You can create an ad. I don't look at these two. I don't look at that at all. I just more like, okay, I want to create a lookalike. Okay, so I'm going to firstly show you how to make a custom audience. So if we go next. So you give it a name, you choose the pixel of your brand, you choose the event. So, is it all website visitors? Generally, you'll start off with view content. You can refine by a number of parameters. For Shopify, generally, I've used URL or content IDs. Content IDs would be on the back end of Shopify. When you look at the product, after the /, you will get a unique string number. You put that in there, right? In many respects, that's a better one because that never changes rather than using URL. I used to use URL, but I more try and use content IDs because it never changes. You might change a URL or something and this might then change, okay? You can refine further by, adding more variables, right? You can do as much as you want. You can include more people. You can exclude people. So you can make your whole custom audience. Let's say you could make your custom audience view content 30 days minus add to cart. Okay, so you could do that if you wanted, right? So if I wanted to exclude, I would choose exclude. I would choose add to cart. I would refine by URL parameter, content ID. I would put that in, and there you go. I've done it all in one audience. So then you would go include, and it would just be this. But I prefer the approach of mine, whereas I make one variable per custom audience. And the reason for that is you only get 50 characters and this here, and it can get really messy long term. And so I just that's just my preference. Each have their own, but I do one variable per custom audience, and then I'll go include, exclude. So because you spend most of your time in the ads manager, you'll end up being like, okay, beautiful, right? Whereas otherwise, you'll end up looking at it and you'll be like, what is that one? What's that one? I don't know. That's me. So that's sort of how I approach that. All right. Now, if you want to make then a lookalike, you can either click lookalike from there. So you can choose an existing audience. So let's say This one, my pixel, website event. Obviously, we're running website. If you're running physical store. It's trying to say, the value is purchase. If you're running e-commerce, it'll actually populate data, right? And what you want to do is you'll want to go 5 is what I generally start with. You choose your audience, your location. You'll know where that audience location is. So I'm just going to put United States. And that's literally how I do it. You can make audiences like this. You can make them whatever. But you start with 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. And once you go create, it'll start creating them. It takes 1 or 2 hours. And then what it does is actually finds people similar. Obviously, because I don't have data or whatever, it's failing, but that's sort of how that works. Okay. Now, lastly, let's go into now the ads manager. So as you can see, all stuff that is relatively straightforward there. You can see I've made a number of test ones. Yes, because this is a test one, ignore that, not relevant. Create, sales, continue. You can say, don't show this again. I always like to have these things. One of the things I like is I like to have reminders. Now you can choose this where I said about having a template. So you can add components, and I recommend adding that. So what you would want to do is you can add these as dynamic variables, right? I don't add the campaign ID, and then you can add like an open text field. So like I know, for instance, when I was running agency and that, a lot of people would do that. So let's say Ricky Agency. Okay. And what a lot of people do is they put it first. Field separator is an underscore. What I usually do is do a plus, and I'll just do something like that, right? So I don't know. There we go. So I don't know why that hasn't shown up correctly, but you can see it's a sales campaign. It's CBO on, right? And Ricky Agency. So as I said, work on something like that works for you. That it just makes it easy. You can also do that at the ad set level and the ad level. Okay. So that's why I just use dynamic variables. It helps. Categories you won't ever use unless you're like a politician or in specific spaces. It's again, sales, auction. If you're running a DPA ad, you'll turn this on. If you're running just a cold or standard one using AI UGC, you won't turn this on. Honestly, I don't really look at this. I don't. I mean, it's cool, right? But it's like, no. Daily budget, I put it at least at $30. You want to put your ad account currency in your currency so you don't have conversion tracking fees. Long term, you want to use ROAS goal, but you'll start as at highest volume. Audience segment reporting is where once you have that, you can actually start segmenting that. Honestly, define your ad account's audience segments in the advertiser setting to receive reporting breakdowns between your new audience engaging. So again, it's really for agencies, but as I said, like a lot of SMEs that use this, which I know is most people trying to do it themselves, that you don't need this, right? So I'm just not going to, I'm just being honest with you there. So website, you go website and app. I haven't tried website and calls. I haven't really tried website and app, so I'm not going to attest to it. Always want to go maximum number of conversions. You choose your pixel and your conversion rate. Remember how I said that you can make custom conversions? This is where they would show if you made them, right? So if I see how it's got create custom conversion, you can then, it'll open up a new window. But 99% of the time, you don't need that, okay? So, as I said, you can show more settings here. Your attribution is standard. I've never really used incremental. I just go standard, and that's why it's like that. 7-day, 1-day click, just use that is all you really need. Your start date is always the next day when you start a new campaign at midnight, right? Because otherwise it'll spend. You can have your ad account. Ad set spending limits, I don't do that. I do my ad account spending limits where, whatever my budget is, I'll put that plus 10% on top because you might spend above that. Obviously, whatever sort of your threshold, but I at least add 10%. So if I'm spending $2,000 a month, I'll add an extra 10%, being an extra $200 to buffer the fact that I might overspend some days or something like that. It happens, right? You can't control everything perfectly. So you just factor in some human element there. Audiences, you got the advantage on. If you have view requirements, because it's Australia, I don't know why, but anyway, it can suggest an audience. Show more controls. You got your minimum age. Okay, as I said, I generally go 25. You can exclude audiences, so you can choose for various audiences, languages, and you can suggest an audience as well. So as I said, like 25, 65, all genders, custom audience exclusions as well. No. Placements you want to leave always on as default. And that's sort of where I'm trying to find, this must have been changed. One moment. Silly me, I just didn't see it, right? So as I said, it can suggest an audience, but like, as I said, you got this. I usually just put in this. So one thing is you want to go 2 to 10 million, 2 to 20 million now. And as you scale, you just go even more broader, right? Even to the point where you literally don't put anything in this field. The pixel becomes so trained, it's with AI and everything, and just getting smarter and smarter. So I usually stick to things like magazines, sort of a starting point, or famous people. So if I'm in the makeup niche, I'll put Kim Kardashian. Yep, there we go. Huge audience. There we go. That's just in Australia. That's how big that lady is, right? Like Australia has like 30 million people. So like 1 in 30 people here in Australia have a very strong interest in Kim Kardashian. There you go. But you get my point. Placements on, leave that as default, right? Ad set. Again, you can create templates, go through that, do that testing. I don't think I'm going to go at partnership ads. When you have a more established brand, you can run partnership ads. Usually have to pay influencers more because you're using their brand authority to help you get more conversions, right? That's really what that is. You can integrate basically like their social media page and use it to actually run ads through. I see a lot of brands starting to do that now. You even have your Threads profile, so you can use your Instagram account or just make a free Threads profile, build your following. You want to create an ad. Again, if you're running a catalog, you run an advantage catalog ads. Again, because one of it most running AI UGC, you want to go single image or video. You put in your destination URL, which will be your product page. You go none for browser add-ons. Instant experience, I've actually found works quite well. You can create, and this is where you create your image ad or your video ad. Follow the prompts and set it up, right? So that's where, like, as I said, you just do all of this. You don't need to do the enhancements for AI UGC for DPA ads. You do creative setup. As I said, you can just skip these if you don't think relevant. Okay. If you want to trim it, you got all of these various things. I just uploaded this as a test. And you get my point. You can translate text, video effects, but you won't really, like the enhanced CTA, actually I found does work well, especially for DPA ads. But I don't use it for that, right? So then you upload that, you have your primary text, you have your headline. Use ChatGPT or something for these to help you with this. If you're not sure, try and add most. They have AI embedded in it, so it'll help give you suggestions as well. And you can sort of see that it sort of goes from there. You can see that like, this is sort of one that's sort of being made using AI UGC. I can't hear the audio because I don't have the system audio on. But you get my point. Description, optimized per person, yes. Call to action is generally for e-commerce will be shop now is what you want to go at. Don't do that. You can turn off the enhancements. As I said, the main ones that I use, translate text. I don't want catalog items. I don't want visual top-ups. Text enhancements, yes. These things are still pretty new. I actually find they work well. Some people say they don't, but I haven't looked that deeply into every little detail there, right? You just want to try some new things, but you don't really want that, right? When it comes to AI UGC, especially for cold, you'll probably want to turn this off. Why can't I turn it off? Whoops, I'm pressing the wrong thing. Thank you. Save. There we go, done. Because you want to focus on it being an AI UGC, and the most important thing with that is you want to focus on its placement being optimized for mobile. You can see this isn't 100% optimized for mobile. It's a bit of sort of a test, but for AI UGC to work really, really well, you want to sort of do that. You can see that this was all made by AI UGC. If I had my system audio on, you could learn it that way. Now, the last thing that I wanted to sort of really show today was around your custom columns. So you got custom columns, you got default ones. You just want to go custom columns. And honestly, I don't look at all of these, but the main ones you want to add is purchase, I've already got purchase and purchase ROAS. You want add to cart, total, perfect, unique link click, perfect, and unique CTR as well. Frequency is one of the default ones at times, but add that in because frequency tells you how often the same people are seeing your ads, so it can be a strong indicator of ad fatigue. Cost per purchase, I think I put that, didn't I? Yes, I did. And that's basically it, right? You give it a name, save, done. Add the custom columns you want. There's so many there, honestly. But the main ones you'll use is cost per purchase, click-through rate, clicks, cost per link click is another one. Add to cart if you want. Initiate checkout, but you won't get that many fires from it. Purchase, return on ad spend, right? But as I said, my way is I focus more on cost per purchase than I do return on ad spend. The cheaper your cost per purchase, the higher your ROAS. Always remember that. It's as simple as that. The cheaper you can get a purchase, the higher your ROAS will be. Okay, so that's sort of what I focus on. Anyway, this has been sort of a bit of a longer video. I hope this has been helpful. That's pretty much all I do in Facebook, and I've been able to do millions of dollars upon millions in Facebook, and that's all I really do. As I said, I want to be very clear. I don't just use Facebook. I use Google. I use Bing. I use SEO. I use influence marketing. I use affiliate marketing. I use email marketing. I use SEO, if I already said that or not. So that's why I don't focus 100% on every little nitty-gritty detail in this. You want to look at the holistic approach. Realistically, the best marketing channels really is referral marketing, right? And SEO. Right, so make sure you just sort of keep that in mind. Go watch some videos on that. I don't know if I have some on my channel. Go watch some in that as well. But as I said, this is sort of a realistic rundown of how to run Facebook ads. Really the only thing you sort of need. This is more geared towards SMEs to medium. If you're running it with an agency, obviously they're going to probably have a bit more intricate, but I'll be honest, a lot of agencies don't. I personally recommend learning it yourself, especially with how easy this is nowadays. Or even look at like someone on Upwork that you can use for a couple hours a week, significantly cheaper, right? If you need any recommendations on that, just let me know, of course, as well. But I hope this has been helpful today. If you have any questions, ask down below. Otherwise, if you did like today's video, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely day. Take care and goodbye.